Hey, Shalom, brothers. There's a there's a very good proverb that goes where there is smoke, there's fire. And this Silicon Valley banking issue is smoke. Is it a fire ablaze? No, it's not. Is it one worthy of our attention? Of course it is, right? That's why I'm doing a video on it. Now, the reason why this is not cause for a panic is because when this system fails, it's going to be a global collapse. Global. It's not just going to be one or two banks. It's going to be every single bank. It's going to be the economic system, right? All dollars are going to fail. The system is just going to fail completely. Why? Because the system is connected. Why? Because this society runs off of debt. This is a debt-based system. What does that mean? It means that the money, aka the dollars, aka the currency, aka the fiat, right? And the reason why I said all of those things is because this is not real money. Why? Because it's not backed by anything. All right. Back in the day, true money or the currency was backed by true money, which is gold or silver. That's true money. What we carry around in our hand, these paper bills, those are just IOUs. That's all that they are. They represent debt, right? They don't represent wealth. What represents wealth? Land, animals, gold, silver, women, right? That's what represents wealth, not paper. Okay? So you have to understand that this money is not backed by anything. It's right. It's made out of nothing, right? So how it works is that the government issues IOUs to a bank, right? And then the IOUs that the government issues is known as a bond. Okay? And you know what? Let's look up that word real quick, bond. This is the word bond. Anything that binds, fastens. Let's scroll down. That's not the true sense. Yeah, bind. Right? A verb. The verb is really good. To put in a bound, from bound, the intransitive sense of hold together, from being bonded, right? This is a good one. The adjective from the 1300, in a state of serf, unfree, from bound, right? This is a really good one. Tenant, farmer, holding land under a lord, right? Who's our lords? The bankers, right? Why? Because the bankers are the ones that own the plantation, which we call a country, right? This is not a country. This is a corporation. Who owns the corporation? The bankers own the corporations. So they are the lords and we are the tenants, right? Which is why we have to pay back, which is why they give us these IOUs for us to do business with, right? That's how it works. That's why they're able to issue the money. Why are they able to issue the money? Because they're the ones who own the corporation. They own the corporation, and we're just servants. Like it says here, we're unfree, right? Because we have to pay back this bond that the government has issued out. right? So when the government gives that or issues that bond, right, which is an IOU, a promise to pay, right, and the government is not going to pay, who's going to pay? Who's going to be on the hook to pay back the bankers? The people, us, right? We are. That's why when you look at the debt clock, it lets you know how people owe by household. It's not saying, oh, this politician or this prime minister or this president. Nah, it's letting you know that you as a person, every household owes the bank this much amount of money, right? So how this works is that the government, when they issue that bond, they give that bond to a bank. That bank then sells the bond to a shell company, right? In the United States, that shell company is known as the Federal Reserve. In Canada, we call it the Bank of Canada. Then the bank, they sell that money, that bond, that bond to the shell company for a profit, right? They make money off of those bonds. And then that's how money is created, because then the Bank of Canada or the Federal Reserve, they print money, and then that's how the government gets money. But every time money is printed, the only thing that's being done is interest. So if for every dollar, so let's say the government, let's say not the government, yeah, let's say the government borrows $1. Let's just say the government borrows $1. That means that they owe the Federal Reserve $2, right? And if the government borrows $2, they owe the Federal Reserve $4. If the government borrows $4, they owe the Federal Reserve $8. So how are the people who are the unfree and the serfs and the tenants, how are they going to pay back that bond or that debt that is owed if every time the government borrows a certain amount of money, the interest on that is more than the money? So even if we do pay off, let's say we pay off what we owe, or what we can, I should say, because we can never pay off what we owe. Let's say we pay off what we can, which is the $4, right? Let's say we borrowed the $4. The interest on that 4 is 8. So let's say we pay off the 4, you still owe 4. So you're still in debt. So that's why the society runs off of a debt-based system. Because every time the government issues those bonds to get the money, the only thing that they're doing is going to pass on debt to the citizens, right? That is all they're going to do. And the reason why, let's go back to Joe Biden, because the reason why this all works, it works off of faith. So because this thing has happened now, Joe Biden or the president or your prime minister, the reason why they're on TV even talking about this is because this all works off of faith, right? Or belief or trust, which is the Latin word creed or credere, right? Which is credit, which is where you get the word credit, right? And what is a credit? A credit is just a loan. The payment of the loan is from the people who pay off the debt with taxes. That's how we pay off the debt, is with taxes, because really and truly, people are not supposed to be taxed, right? Because people only earn income, right? People don't earn a profit. Now, if you own a company, right, an LLC or a corporation, then you can make a profit, right? But most people are just employees, which you just earn an income. Your income is not supposed to be taxed. The reason why it's being taxed is because that debt that's incurred by the government has to be paid by the people, right? And that's the way that the international bankers keep us in servitude and get rich all at the same time. All at the same time. So this whole situation that happened with Silicon Valley is a situation that can happen every day. Why? Because no bank is holding the total amount of cash that their depositors hold, right? So a run on the bank can happen at any time because at any bank, because here in Canada we have RBC, we have TD, we have Scotia, we have Bank of Montreal and other banks, right? Let's say everybody for RBC went to the bank today who had an RBC account and said, yo, I want to pull my money out. That bank would have to close because those banks don't hold physical cash. They don't hold physical cash. Why don't they hold physical cash? Because this system is run off of what do you call that again? The fractional reserve, right? It's called fractional reserve banking, which means that some banks only have to hold as little as 10% of the money. That's it. That is it. And then they get to create new money from that fractional reserve. Some banks don't have to hold no money on the books, zero. So let's say you deposit $100. Some banks don't have to hold nothing because really and truly, when you're doing business with a bank, you're giving the bank authority to do what they please with your money. They can gamble with your money on the stock market. And if they lose, they lose. That's the risk and that's the chance that you take when you put your money into a bank. Right? But let's play this with this devil. But really and truly, the only thing that he represents in this corporation known as America, he's just the PR. He's just a PR person. That's all he is. He's PR. Right? You know, when a company does something bad and then they send the press and they put out a statement to make everybody say, don't worry, everything is okay. There is nothing wrong. Your money is safe. Everything is safe. That's all that's being done right here.
Hey, thanks to the quick action of my administration over the past few days, Americans can have confidence that the banking system is safe. Your deposits will be there when you need them. Small businesses across the country, the deposit accounts at these banks can breathe easier knowing they'll be able to pay their workers and pay their bills.
That's why, because this system runs off of credit, right? Which is faith, right? Which is trust, which is a belief. So they need you to believe that this system is functionally perfectly fine, which the system is functioning perfectly fine. It really is, because the global elites want these banks to crash. They do. And they want them to crash for a reason, for the reason of the MOTB, which is the mark of the beast. That's why they want the system to crash, which is still controlled by them. Let's get a scripture. This is Daniel 7:18. It says, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever. Why? Because wealth is never destroyed. It's just transferred. That's all that it is. Wealth is never destroyed. It's just transferred, right? And we are going to see that transfer of wealth when you so-called Negroes, you Latinos, and you Native Americans are in rulership. Right now, that wealth transfer is happening due to a thing known as inflation, right? That's how the bankers also steal your money. They have many ways of stealing your money. Inflation is just one way, right? That's just one way of stealing your money. Because let's say you have $1 million saved up. Well, inflation is going to make sure that that $1 million is not going to be worth what it was worth 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, right? Which means that the money is not a good store of value, right? A store of value means solid, means that whatever value that thing is worth, it's going to remain that, it's going to remain as that, right? Like gold. Gold had its value 5,000 years ago, and it's going to have its value in the next 1,000 years, 2,000 years, right? Gold and silver is going to always keep their value. This is Proverbs 11:1. It says, a false balance is an abomination to the Lord, right? And what is the false balance? The false balance is this fiat currency that we label as money, right? And why is it a false balance? It's because it's not backed by anything. It has no real true value. That paper has no true value. And when you go throughout history and you look at the history of the fiat currency, they all fail. They all fail, every single one of them. Why? Because people get greedy. That's why gold and silver is so important, which is what a lot of economists call God's money. They call that God's money. Why? Because gold and silver is a true balance, like it says here, but a just weight is his delight. That's why real economists call gold and silver God's money. Why? Because it's a just weight. You can't fake it and you can't print it, right? With paper, you can print more and print more and print more and print more and print more, right? And when you print more, what happens? When you have an oversupply of currency, which is AKA debt, the price of goods go up. Why? Because those goods actually have value, right? The goods, like let's say you're going to go buy sheep or you're going to go buy land, right? You're going to need more of that currency to buy something because those things are actually valuable things. Okay? But guess what? The international banking cartels, this is exactly what they want. Why? Because this way of banking, which is a debt-based system, assures them that the people are continuously slaves. All right, let's get another scripture quickly. This is Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, right? And this is a form of captivity. Why is it a form of captivity? Because no matter how hard you work, you're not going to be able to establish yourself in this society. In a just society, like when you read in the scriptures, people worked until they establish themselves. That's what working is supposed to do. You're supposed to work until you have your own. You're not supposed to work yourself until you're dead, until you're 65, until you're 70, and they keep raising the retirement age. Why? Because they want you people to work until you're dead. Why? Because you have to keep paying off that debt in the form of income tax, right? Because the money you pay for income tax is how you pay down on the debt, right? Can you pay off the debt? You can never pay off the debt, like I was saying, but that's how you pay down on the debt, and that's how the international bankers get rich, and that's how you stay poor, right? So the only thing really and truly that we are paying off is the interest, which rises every time they create more money. And we know now that it's not money. It's just currency. It's fiat currency, right? And they create that out of what? Out of a fractional reserve banking method, which means that every time someone deposited, let's say I deposit $100, right? They're able to create more money from my deposit to loan it out to somebody else, right? And when that person uses that money, gives it to somebody, somebody else brings more money into the bank, they're able to create more money and continue to do it and continue to do it. But every time you create more money, you're creating more debt, right? So that's why the what do you call it? The image that's always in people's minds in this society is people on a hamster wheel, right? Because you just keep going around and around in circles, man. That's it. That is it. Right? But let's let Sleepy Joe finish.
And the hardworking employees can breathe easier as well. No losses will be, and this is an important point, no losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Let me repeat that. No losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Instead, the money will come from the fees that banks pay into the deposit insurance fund. Because of the actions of that, because...
And those fees, guess what? They got those fees from from the people that do banking as well, right? All those fees that we have to pay, like let's say you're with one bank and you withdraw money from another bank, you got to pay like $3.50, right? And that price keeps going up, right? Let's say you have a bounce check, or what they call a non-sufficient funds, right? Let's say you have one of those. They charge you like $45 for one. They charge you like $45 for one. But guess what? You get the biggest joke out of all of this is the government created money from no money. All they did was issue a bond, which is just an IOU, right? The bank who has that bond sold that bond to the shell company, which is what? Which is the Federal Reserve, or in Canada, it's the Bank of Canada, for a profit. So they made money off of that. And then when the Federal Reserve prints the money, or the Bank of Canada prints the money, and they give it to the government now has to pay back that debt with interest. So they made money from nothing. Oh man, this society gotta go, man. This society's gotta go, man. I'm telling you, this society is a wicked, wicked society. But you know what? It has to be like this because these people, and when I say these people, these international bankers, these elites, they're being judged, right? And their skirt is being lifted up as well to show their true wickedness. So when that time of judgment comes, right, it's going to be just. But with that, I like to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the elders and elder apostles of GMS that do rule well and that do teach well. And to the brothers on the four corners of the earth doing this work in truth and in sincerity. Shalom. Till next time. Kwam Yasharallah.